man, I got less than 15 minutes to talk my shit. Alright, it's your girl, Cassie K, resident atheist. Yes, I said it. The resident atheist. Alright, y'all, we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about picking the right mate. Yes, y'all, I'm about to turn 51 October the 5th, 2021. Alright. Let's talk about picking the right mate. Okay? Let's talk about it. Now, when I was younger, I was kind of clueless about relationship, love, and, I got married when I was in my 20s, but I had a kid when I was 16, but I married the father when I was in my 20s. But we divorced probably a couple of years later after that, because I knew him when I was a child. I mean, I knew him when I was a child. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and we were friends, and I wound up becoming pregnant by him. Okay, end of the story. Now let's go into that relationship. That relationship was because I was young and ignorant. And that's bottom line. So when you're choosing a partner when it comes to that time, when you're young, you just do dumb shit. Bottom line, when you're young, you're clueless. Love is blind. I can't say that I was in love with my son's father at the time, because I wasn't. I'll be lying to you to say that I was in love with him. I just became pregnant by him. I grew to love him as time went on, but I guess in a sense at the time I call it unconditional, because you tend to be with people that you care about, and you kind of you accept them for who they are. I knew at the time, as time went on, okay, he put on this front like he was this great guy, but at the end of the day, he was an asshole. I mean, and not to shit on his behavior, but that's probably how he was always that particular person. Sometimes people put on the front and they pretend, and you like that. I mean, and it's not like he was fronting to me. I always knew who he was because I grew up with him. And to me, he wasn't, how can I say it? I never liked him because I liked him in the sense he was funny. He was very flirtatious to a lot of girls. And he was very flirtatious with me too. So, but I took a chance, and I said, okay, let's do something. And we did something. I got pregnant. End of story. That's how that happened. But, truth be told, he wasn't someone I was planning on being with. That's just the reality. He wasn't my choice. A lot of the relationships I was in the past, they were really not my choice. It was just something I was doing, because at that point, I don't think I knew what love was, and it took me time to understand what love is. Like how I love my children is unconditionally. I love them. I will do anything for them. I look out for them. I tell them things that will be good for their health. And that's how a relationship be with your mate. If you choose to be with somebody, you're going to choose to be with them for whatever they are. If you see some ratchetry go on early in that relationship, or you see this person like that, behave that way before, I guess the reality is you need to become more in tune, friends with the person before you make a commitment. Once you make that commitment, you can't sit up there and trying to change a person's behavior because you don't like it, but you like that person physically. Because you like the physical part of them, you just don't like their behavior. Because their behavior is not going to change throughout time. Their behavior is going to fuck up your behavior. You thinking this person, okay, He looks good. You know, he's treating me nice right now, but let me see if I can change the bad behavior as time go on. A lot of women and men think they can do that with a person they really want to be involved with, that they ooh and ah and be in love with. You cannot change a person's behavior because it is what it is. It is what it is. What you see is what you're going to get, and it might get worse as time goes on. That behavior is subject to change. People evolve is what my point. Nothing stays the same. When you're 16, when you're 18, when you're 20, when you're 21, you get my point. As time go on, you're gaining knowledge, your mentality change. I am not the same person as I was when I was 16. I'm the same as far as I don't believe in God. I don't acknowledge the concept. I don't like using the term. I don't acknowledge the concept of God in the sense of there's some spook in the universe that's controlling. I don't acknowledge that type of creation of a concept. But my point is, when you choose a mate, you need to be choosing based on whether y'all have the same interests, whether you're going to have that understanding that mate is going to change through time. What if your mate get mental illness and it's something you can't handle? What are you going to do? But you love this person unconditionally. That's how you should be with a person. You choose a companion that you want to share your life with, but that companion needs to understand you are not going to be the same person. You love that person in the moment. A lot of people will go through different relationships because they love individuals in the moment where they are, instead of loving individuals as they change. I don't mind a person changing. Yes, I have my triggers. I don't like to be lied to. Those are my triggers. You know, one of the reasons why I decided not to deal with my ex-husband is because he was a liar. and I knew that going in, and I wasn't trying to change that going in, but he would just lie for no reason. I mean, maybe I didn't know that going in. I'm like, damn, this dude just constantly lied for no reason. I don't understand the reason for lying. You know, I'm like, wait a minute, don't you know that I know that you're lying? But he was also the type of dude who was a Christian who wanted to be in a monogamous relationship with a woman, but he also wanted to go out there and cheat with other women. So, so I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense in my mind. Of course, in my mind, even still today, I'm that way. If you're going to be in a monogamous relationship, that's what you need to be in. I'm one of those people. That's what you need to be in. Stop trying to choose people that you want to make this contract. Okay, let's be in a relationship. It's going to be you and me, you and I. And then come to find out, you're jumping ship, tapping some other ass. What's going on here? So the point I'm making here, yes, if you want to be in an open relationship, hey, you need to address that up front, bruh. You know, I'm one of those ladies, hey, I'll date other men. I'm one of those women. I'll say, hey, I come to the point when I'm done with the relationship that I am in now, I don't plan on being in another monogamous relationship. That's just me. I'm done with that type of, it's not for everybody. I'm not the type of woman who's built for that, and it's not, I can be with one man, but sometimes, one man can't be with me. They have a hard time understanding, like past relationship. They had a hard time, they want to be in a monogamous relationship. And I'm like, okay, but you can't have it fucking both ways, yo. You just can't. You can imagine yourself being with other women, but you can't imagine me being with other men or another man treating me well. So what logic is that, fellas? And I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit of that old way of thinking, because listen, that shit is old to me, and I never been with the times. I never went with the past idea that a woman can't do what a man do. No, sweetheart, I don't live in that world. And ladies, do not allow a man to place you in a box to live, or men or a woman to allow you to place you in a box where you have to choose just one mate. Because trust me, a lot of these people out here are putting on fronts, then 20 years putting on a facade. 20 years later, then you realize these people are fake. They're cheaters. They're liars. They don't care about you. They would take things from you. You have to realize that 30 years, 20 years, 5 years down the line, if a person steals from you, you don't need to be with that person. If your mate has to hide and steal from you, you don't need to be with that, because that person don't care for your well-being. A person will look out for your health. Any individual that looks out for your well-being, trying to take care of you, trying to tell you need to eat right, cut back on this, cut back on that, try to be healthy, is trying to look out for you. And if some of you men and women don't understand that, then that person is not for you. Stop wasting time, other people's time in life, with people who don't want you. These people don't want you. They want to use you. They want to use you, and then they'll go use somebody else and make them fucked up, which is kind of crazy. I grew up, my parents was very dysfunctional. They were addicts. So I saw a lot of abuse, of physical and verbal abuse in my family, between my mom and dad. I had both parents. So it's like, I could say they weren't shit. I'm just one of those women, and I say it in that manner because I'm not your average bred, follow behind your dude female. I'm just not. I don't care about that. And maybe that's part of me being triggered, me loving the things that I love. I love what I love. I like the things that I wear. I like, and some guys were like, oh, she's too masculine or whatever. Man, fuck you. I'm not masculine. I'm just being who I am. Sometimes you cats can't accept a person for who they are, but you like the ass and the titties and shit, but you can't accept that person for who they are. I'd be like, nigga, move on. I'm not trying to be with you. I'm not trying to be with you. It ain't even, that's how cut and dry I am. I'm an empty shell. I know how to have a good time when I want to have a good time, and I know how to be an asshole when I can. If I'm triggered, I'm a pure asshole. I don't give a shit, because sometimes people come in your space and they try to make you depressed, and that's another subject. It's mental illness. Okay, this is part 1. Apparently 15 minutes wasn't enough for me to talk my shit about relationships. Just listen, people, just when you choose a mate, try to have that understanding that these people will change during time. A relationship will last a long time if you're honest and open with your partner with what you want in that relationship. Love must be unconditional when you take care of that individual. You want to make sure when you grow old with an individual that you're setting up some type of goodwill health thing with that person as they get older. You got to know how to deal with their health conditions when they get older. You got to know how to love them when they totally come change into a different person, and if you can't, and people can't handle their mate not being different. People can't handle it. People want to remember what they used to be, and sometimes you can't. The universe does not allow things to stay the same. It doesn't. Change is always inevitable. That's the way it is. And we can't do anything about evolution. We can't. We must move forward. And we must adapt to change. Peace, resident atheist.